Hello and welcome to today's video, which is about negative numbers. So when we learn to count, we learn 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. These are all positive numbers. It's a long time before we learn about negative numbers. And if we show positive numbers as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we can show positive and negative numbers together like this. So we have a line starts on the left with -5, going to the right, -4, -3, -2, -1, and then 0, and then the positive ones 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The negative numbers all have a minus sign in front of them. That's how you tell the difference from a positive number. All positive numbers are separated from negative numbers by 0 on the line. 0 is not positive or negative, it's nothing. Why do we need negative numbers? Well, sometimes we have less than 0 of something, or at the finish we have less than at the start. So, for example, you walk from A to C. You will climb 1,000 meters to 1,200 meters or up 200 meters. But when you get to B, you will be down 200 or minus 200 meters. You can see you go from A to B to C on the diagram there. Another example, when you borrow money, it can be written as a negative number. So you borrow 500 baht from your uncle. At the start, you owe him 0. Then you borrow 500 baht. Now we can call it minus 500. When you pay the money back, it will go back to 0. If you dive in the lake 50 meters below the surface of the water, we can call this minus 50 meters. So 0 is the surface of the lake. You can see the picture there. Many times we get a negative number because we have to subtract or minus something. If the number we have to subtract is bigger than the number we start with, the answer will be negative. So for example, 100 minus 400, the answer will be minus 300. So minus 300 is a negative number. So here's a word example. At noon, it was 10 degrees Celsius. At 6 p.m., it was 4 degrees. How many degrees did the temperature change? So the answer 10 minus 4 equals 6. No problems. But how will the reader know if the temperature went up or down? They only know that it's changed by 6 degrees. To show that it went down, we say minus 6 degrees. If it went up, we would just say 6 degrees. So don't note, this is not the temperature. This is how much is changed. So how do we find the difference between a positive and a negative number? Let's say we want to know the difference between plus 6 and minus 4. So the best way is to draw a line like in the picture. So you start on the left with minus 4, minus 3, minus 2, minus 1, 0, and then the positive numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So now you can measure how far from minus 4 to plus 6. So each of those little loops is one number. You count them all, and there's 10 of them. So the answer is 10. But if the numbers are big, you don't want to do this. If the question is minus 40 to plus 50, it would take forever to draw a line and count. Now, normally, if we want to find a difference between two positive numbers, we subtract. For example, the difference between 6 and 4 is 6 minus 4 equals 2. When there's a negative number, it's a bit more messy. We should write 6 minus 4. And the rule here is that if you have two minus signs together, it becomes a plus. So minus minus equals plus. So instead of writing 6 minus minus 4, we write 6 plus 4. And the answer is 10. And that's the same as earlier when we used the line to count. So what if we have two negative numbers? So for example, we want to subtract minus 4 from minus 6. So for our example, we would write it as minus 6 minus minus 4 equals what? Well, minus minus equals plus, so we would rewrite it as minus 6 plus 4, which equals minus 2. How does that look on the line? Well, we have our line starting at the left with minus 6, then minus 5, minus 4, minus 3, minus 2, minus 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So we start at minus 6 and we want to move 4 places to the right. So you can see there 1, 2, 3, 4, we get to minus 2, which is the same as doing the calculation. Notice that when you add using the line, you move to the right. If you're still a bit confused about the line, there are two very simple rules. To add, move to the right. To minus, move to the left. So let's try some simple examples. Firstly, we're looking at moving to the right. So 1 plus 2 equals 3. So we draw our line 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We start at 1 and we move 2 blue loops to the right and we get to the answer 3. Okay, another one. We are going to try and do minus 1 plus 2. We know the answer will be 1. So we draw a line. We start with minus 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, etc. We begin our loop at minus 1 and we go 2 loops to the right and it gets us to the answer, which is plus 1. Another quick way to do this one is to move the parts of the calculation around. Instead of having minus 1 plus 2, we can move the parts into the opposite order. So we write it as 2 minus 1. And then it's easy. So now some minus examples. So this time we're going to move to the left. So we have 1 minus 2, which equals minus 1. So we start with our line, minus 2 at the left, minus 1, 0, 1, 2, 3. Then we start at 1 and we're going to do 2 loops to the left, 1, 2, and it gets us to minus 1. So the next one, minus 1, minus 2, which equals minus 3. So we draw a line. I've started at minus 4 on the left, minus 3, minus 2, minus 1, 0, 1, 2. So we're going to start our loops at minus 1, and we're going to do 2 loops to the left. So here we go. 1 loop, 2 loops, and it gets us to minus 3. Next one, 4 minus minus 2, which equals 6. So minus plus minus equals plus. So this is 4 plus 2, and we need to move to the right. So we have our line 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We're going to start with number 4 and do 2 loops to the right. So 1, 2, and we get to 6. Next one is a word problem. So Kun's business had 1,000 baht in the bank, and then he took out 2,000 baht. How much money did he have left in the bank afterwards? So let's do the answer together. As a math problem, this is 1,000 minus 2,000. So the answer is minus 1,000 baht. Next one, another word problem. In New York in January, the temperature is 5 degrees at 3 p.m. and minus 2 degrees at 8 p.m. How much does it change? So let's do it together. The math version of this problem is 5 minus minus 2. So minus minus equals plus. So the question is 5 plus 2, which equals 7 degrees. Next one. The climber started at 8 a.m., 250 meters up the mountain. By midday, he climbed up to 500 meters, and then at 3 p.m. down to the road at 150 meters. How much did his height change between 8 a.m. and 3 p.m.? So I'm going to go on to the answer with you. The first thing to notice is that it doesn't matter how high he was at midday. You don't need that information to find out the difference between 8 a.m. and 3 p.m. At 8 a.m., he was 250 meters. At 3 p.m., he was 150 meters. So the math problem is 250 meters minus 150 meters, and the answer is 100 meters. This is the end, my friend. See you again next time.